be dwarfed by
They would be
the
dwarfed.
pieces of furniture that are coming out now.
Okay.
You got to constantly keep your finger not on lighting. Lighting follows many things, but on what lighting does follow.
Right.
And right now, the scale of rooms, height of ceiling, size of windows, the general desire and hunger for larger spaces and fewer of them. And so you need upscaled, important product to balance that. If everything is kind of still to the scale of yesterday, then it goes into yesterday's home. But in today's home, tomorrow's home, scale is critically important. It needs to be rich. It can't be just some little wispy something.
And I think we need to hear this too. I mean, and Carolyn knows that other than in the Tiffany area, we're really not the go-to for our portables. And so here's somebody talking from her experience, and perhaps what we've been doing is not necessarily the way to go. So this larger scale is something that is selling, and it's very much evolving in what's needed in the marketplace.
Hey Todd, I'll add one more thing to that. I think a lot of lighting showrooms would say they're selling less and less portables every year, and maybe the reason why is they're not addressing it with the right product mix. And that Carolyn is somebody who really stems not out of the lighting industry, but the home furnishing industry. So she's not coming with, let's call it, the baggage from a lighting perspective. She's saying this is what's going on in home furnishings, and so that could really play into it. Well, I'm not selling portables. Well, maybe it's because you have all these smaller scale pieces, and that's not what's going on in home furnishings.
Correct. So often, it's easy because scale is probably one of the most dominant parts of what goes on in a design, but you don't see it. You don't see it till you put it in a room and it's wrong. Why is it wrong? Well, it's not the right scale. Well, scale is, you think it's not a part of design, but it's a very core layer, foundational part of design. So if you only address certain scales in your product line, that doesn't mean you won't sell to that customer. But the customer who needs other scale can't use it. So for those reasons, we've upscaled a lot of things here. And I don't want to scare you guys because I know that in some instances, this is not your strength yet. But
Dave, you have something?
Well, I was going to make a point that with my furniture stores, they're saying exactly what Carolyn's saying. That this, it's the upsize and the larger furniture, and to her point exactly, that's what they're asking for. So I'm looking at an excellent opportunity to go back to my furniture stores and really hit hard with this stuff.
good, thank you.
Okay, great. So I'm going to keep moving. So table lamp we talked about. Also, Carolyn always features usually a very visible finial that again is a little larger scale, which is nice, a nice distinguishing difference of your products than most. And then of course here, we know this is a great product area, kind of like a midi size, probably 9 inches, 100 watt bulb, but again completes the group. So any questions on this group at all?
Todd,
Yes.
how do you bring scale into the picture when you're presenting this whole group as a category? I know that you were talking about it, but I got lost in it.
Okay. Now, are you talking about when you present to the owner of a lighting store?
Yes.
Okay. Usually, well, it all depends on each lighting store and each individual person, of course. But right now, the trend in furniture seeps down or goes downhill or uphill into lighting. Often people buy the furniture and then they'll buy the lamp. Well, if they have upscaled in furniture, and usually that's the case nowadays, then one of the reasons they replace their lamp is they need something with more scale to it to go with the furniture.
Which I am with the furniture. And the upscale that they are reaching with the furniture.
Yes, yes.
And the other thing to your question is if you look at the mirror, look at the scale of the mirror.
Yes.
And so what's important here is we want to get a collection of product in the store. And it needs to be relative to itself, proportioned to itself. So I think in terms of them showing the larger scale, because what Carolyn's saying and David is saying, that's what's happening. What Rick even said, this is what's happening in the market. We've been making 25 and 28-inch lamps, but the fact is the people in the portable business are selling larger lamps. And so we need to show it and show our customers what it looks like. And it's nice to have a mirror and have a backdrop in the whole setting where we can put a collection together, where we create the scale. In this particular group, to answer your question, the scale of this sort of feeds into a larger, more important scale.
And I want to mention one more thing about this particular collection, and you'll see it from now on as we walk around. I won't mention it again. But what we're doing right now to get the the size and scale of this to be a palatable, desirable look is that we have broken it, and I'd like to pierce it so that it's a lighter weight, less heavy feeling, and yet still occupies a certain amount of square cubic air, or pick it the way you want to describe it, so that it can be big enough but without being heavy.
But it's an airy looking.
It's airy looking, but it still makes an important small statement.
Very good. Thank you.
Okay, so we have 2 table lamps here too that we've assorted. I believe that we have around, Peter, the numbers were, I think we have like 26 fixtures and 9 portables, something like that, 32?
In Carolyn.
In Carolyn's area.
5 fixture families, which is about 23 SKUs, and 9 portable lamps.
And 9 portables. So you'll see the portables kind of spread out around, and you know, again, I'm looking at great finishing here, a combination of black, and this here is another antique. I mean, do you want to talk about the finish at all in terms of what this represents for you?
Y'all are already experts in finish, so we don't know any more than the next guy, except that we'll use it. And you'll see a lot of mixes of finishes on different things. Almost always there's a tonality. It's not ever a one flat solid anything. And it's a subtle thing, but it's an important thing because that breaking allows it to blend with other finishes. If it's an exact solid thing, then it's got to match exactly or it doesn't blend. But these finishes have nuances of color so that they blend right in with what's
Great point.
existing.
That's a really good selling point. The nuances of the different colors gives you a lot more adaptability in fitting it into the decor. How about the shades? What do you want to say about the way that you pick your shades?
We, first of all, shades have an important statement in any lamp. Often, shades get neglected, but we believe in making shades where when you see them, they're big, they're important, they occupy the space that they should, but they're not deep. Almost always we'll shift to something that is skinnier so that it'll fit on the furniture, fit against the wall. You can move it into a space without it being too big for the space. Because often, visually, you don't need the depth, but you need the width so you see it, but it doesn't bulk up the top of the table or wherever it goes. So you'll see over and over again where we have sort of intelligently reduced unnecessary volume and then put it where it shows. Therefore, you truly can bring something that, to me, alabaster has its own story. And I think that this is as close as we can get to keep it in your price range with this kind of clarity of carving, etc. I love to use double stands in these things. It adds a little bit to the cost, but it adds so much to the look. They don't look like a spinning into something. And then we use a stepped foot down here, and we use this foot a lot. A lot of people think the foot doesn't really count. I think the foot really counts. Although with floor lamps, often the foot behind on the table lamp, it's one of the main things that you see. It's a very important design element. We don't treat it last, we treat it first. There's a lot of simplicity to this lamp as well. This silver finish is designed so that you have a mix of pale neutrals. You have the tactile up here, and then the stone feeling here, and matched with the silver here. And there's a play to that. There's a, sort of an interest when you jump from one thing to the other to stay in the same color.
Yeah. And so we do have 2 pieces here. We have a table lamp and a floor lamp, and this with a small shade looks a little bit more like a large buffet lamp. So that's really what its intention is. And these here, I believe, also are 3-way, single bulb outlets, and the switching is all on the socket itself. The material here is kind of like a very big, like muslin or linen. Okay.
And linen is the magic word right now. Everything to one degree or another, you can get anywhere close to that.
Linen.
Yeah,
Okay.
because it's elegant in its own way. It's not burlap, but it has texture which relaxes it. So it's what we're doing.
Right. Yeah.
What is the material of that segment down? Is it resin or is that a glass?
It is a form of resin.
Okay, any
Call that
other?
alabaster.
Pardon?
Call that alabaster.
You can really see the highlights of the silver, and I'm just resonating with what you said earlier. Isn't this a great piece, the fact that we have both of those pretty predominant, both silver and bronze, to be able to match an assortment of different decor in the home.
Gets back to blending.
Right.
Yes.
And there's a depth there too, which we were talking about, how Carolyn does so well, has such a keen eye on creating depth and warmth and the real character of a finish that looks aged. So that was the word that you used, was aged. Right.
age, relaxed,
Right.
comfortable. Let's go. Because if everything, there's a time for shiny, clean, new. We'll get that. But there's an awful lot of people out there that they get enough of that real quick.
Yes.
So
You can live with this a lot more.
yeah.
You use the term relaxed elegance, which I
Yes.
really
It's
spells.
an easy phrase, and it's real, because they usually are elegant. And usually people are looking for a way to have it more relaxed, but elegant.
So this up here, we talked about the faux bamboo. And again, this has, and I think a good way to talk about this is the layering effect, the sort of depth that's created with the, and actually this is a vinyl inside here, which also looks like it's a grass material. So it has the same language, and it's it's organic and it's very warm. The other thing I wanted to point out too, they're both the same, yeah. These are 5/8 down rods. We usually 1/2 inch, so it's a little heavier. Again, we talk about scale, and if you look at all these pieces here, they're the 5/8 pieces, and they still will come 2 foot, and 2 6s.
And we'll have additional available for purchase?
Replacement parts, you mean?
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, yeah.
No,
No, we
like
want-
Well, no, we
it's
want,
later.
when they want to add to it, they
Yeah,
can
we'll
purchase.
create it as a replacement part in this size.
You sure that we have them in all these new finishes?
Yes.
All right, so going back to this is all laser cut. You want to talk about that piece a little bit?
Okay, obviously the design is the main focus here. We don't do that many pieces that have an established design, but I liked this one because there's a lot of things that it addresses. Certainly it is a softer look. It has a slight feminine feel to it. It's great for outdoor. It's also great indoors. The idea of the shape, the drum shape, being fairly clean and edited allows for a more playful surface like this to really carry. We've had a lot of luck with this kind of thing in the past. I was surprised when we first did it. I thought, I don't know, I like it, but I don't think the average guy will. And they ended up being our best sellers. So you just, who knows?
And again, I have to say, Carolyn, this is a finish thing for me. It's,
Always.
you know, this almost looks like, I don't know if it's like, it looks for some reason more like wood than it does metal, but it looks aged, it looks old, and it looks valuable, it looks vintage. And so it's got that extra quality to it. And then the fact that this is all perforated here with laser cutting, really gives it a real sort of an antique kind of a
And this
feeling
is-
to it.
You feel the fabricness of this. There's always a textural story to everything that we do. There's always. Because to me, texture is a key part of the finish. You can't have a finish without a texture. And you can choose to have a bland, ordinary one, or you can just go crazy with the subtlety that texture brings. So you can do many, many rich, subtle nuances. But then, although you're putting the same things over it, it's never quite so boring. It always has that extra kick.
Because we can't have you standing with every customer, to get that message. Right, and we can do that. Absolutely.
How about you brought that up? That reminds me of something that we were going to do for Lance Plus. They invited me to come down and turn speak. Anyway, the point is, they're hungry for this. And if you and I work together with all of you all and all of your comments, and we develop a tool that not only is available to the owners of the store, but it goes home with the product. I mean, it's a CD or something like that, which, and I'm just throwing this idea out for now as the very beginning of something that you all may evolve as a very significant tool that will help you to say all these things in about 0.01% of the time.
Form of a linen shade. And a little nuance here that you're really going to have to pick up on and show our customers is that we've used the opal glass as our diffuser here. And you can see right here that we've created this to come sit down on top of it. The reason being is when you're sitting underneath it and normally you're looking at bulbs, you don't have that. You have a much cleaner look. We've got 100-watt bulbs in there right now, so that would be the maximum that you'd have. But what a great little piece to put over like a little dinette table. I could see because of the bulb issue, you might put that even in a foyer, where you have a little higher ceiling. This is a brushed nickel finish, very simple, basic design. But the other thing I wanted to point out was inside, you see the silver lining? So again, if you're going to look up on the inside of a shade, you want to have something to look at.
So it's well finished.
And it's very well finished and coordinates with the brushed nickel finish of the piece itself. Same thing here. Look how we've set, in both cases, we've set these diffusers purposely up higher so that you can see them, and we haven't closed them off completely, so you really get the advantage of seeing that full internal silver lining on the piece. We're talking about $199, so we're talking about $399 retail. And here again, we've never done anything like this. Taking this material, talk about warmth and casual elegance. What a great combination of using this in a mirror. Very beautifully finished. Again, this is a little, not oversized. 30 by 40, is that right? 36 by 40 I can't see it. And this is 175. Again, I think reasonable. 350 retail. There's a lot of value here. I mean, this is very Carolyn Kenda. Same material.
Same material.
Right, the same coordinated material, and all really great areas. So we've got a semi-flush at 16 inches. I believe this is 20 inches. The beautiful lining inside here. And this is 3 bulbs, and this is 2 bulbs. And I think in the future, we try to push it to always 3 and 4, just to max the light out. And then, of course, very beautiful, simple piece here as well. So this really is a relaxed elegance of something that's just a little bit more contemporized.
This is probably my favorite group in the whole collection.
Come stand here so you can...
I think that it says more about what's happening now than any of the other things, although they all sing in unison. This is about a sophisticated consumer. It's definitely got a contemporary feeling to it, yet there's a lot more. There's subtle little touches. I think the most interesting is the fact that it has the brushed interiors on the shades. I think that that's quite important. And the fact that it's a surprise and you see it when you stand underneath it, I think that that's part of the subtlety of the line, is that it doesn't come out and slap your face with whatever's going on. There's layers of discovery as you get into it. It's how did they do that? And this is a good example of that. There's all kinds of restraint. There's a lot of elegance. What I love about it is the mix of truly, in a way, neutral but very different tonalities. For instance, this is not white, and this is not white, and this is not white. But if somebody described it, they'd say it's not white. But all of those textural differences in that one color are the point. Because as the texture changes the color, that's where you get the excitement. That's where you get the freshness. That's where you get the difference from other people. And this group, of all the groups here, is the most sophisticated because it is seemingly the most simple, but there's nothing about it that's simple. Every connectivity union there has a little bit of design feeling. The difference in the way the light reflects on a round surface as opposed to a square surface, as opposed to an interior, as opposed to, on and on and on. And until you point that all out, you don't realize the harmony, the symphony of it. But if you just really sit back and just look with it'll entertain your eyes. You can just, look at it, and look at it, and then stop and look at it again. If you don't let me know what you think, I can't learn. I'm here to learn. I'm here to get to know you and enjoy you and watch him do his thing. But I'm really here to learn. So now's my chance.
So are you going to be on the floor
as
people are coming in so we can introduce you and maybe have you say some words as they're taking people through?
Carolyn, so I have a quick question for you. Are you still designing for Uttermost or other companies, or are you just...
Yes, I am.
Okay. Roughly how many companies are you designing for?
Roughly, I really don't even know anymore.
That's a lot. That's a lot.
Yeah, but there's very few that would be like in your industry. Like in your industry, we touch many industries. And like for the picture frame modeling, there's things that y'all would not care about, but we're strong in those. That's why we're so tuned to finishes, because that's all about things. If you're going to sell something for $20 a click, we're going to finish. You better know what you're doing. So that's what's backing what you have.
You're in furniture also?